All right, tour of the smokehouse. So this is kind of just to give you an overall. Basically 8-foot walls with pitched roof. Roof could definitely be less pitchy than that, and it could even be shed roof if needed. They are rafters just cut. Just rafters cut with a bird's mouth and skip sheeted roofing with slats for the roof. These corners are wrapped. What do I mean by that is when I sheeted the metal, when I sheeted this side, I left this sticking out about 6 inches and then just had somebody come in and push it real hard to curl it around the corners and screw it down. The walls are all made out of metal. Can even have holes. Like, doesn't matter, really. And the metal is just screwed to the studs. Gable end right there. That triangle that you see there can come off. It's got screen behind it. So if I want more ventilation, I take those boards off. It's like that on both ends. Your basic door. Wooden door. And I don't know how well this is gonna be because it's probably dark. I do have 2 stoves that I use. I don't think you're gonna need that. That's just in case it's really rainy and I need to get the heat up. I hook up a regular little tiny wood stove and pipe it out there, and that's just to get the temperature in here hot enough when it's absolutely raining. If it's good dry weather, I don't even use that. And that's piped out, so that's not providing any smoke as far as smoke in the wood. What you need for the actual smoking portion is a 55-gallon drum cut in half. You could cut that with a grinding wheel on your angle grinder or a jigsaw or anything. Just make sure obviously it doesn't have gas fumes in it. It's got no hole, nothing fancy. It's a half a drum. And I control it so it doesn't get out of hand when you're smoking your wood or you're smoking your fish. I just put a piece of metal over it like that. And if I need more air and more smoke coming out, I do that. But most of the time when I get a smoke fire going that's good enough, that's just sitting out there and smoke's billowing out the edges right here. And that is what gives it flavor. So, I don't know, roof. Here's the basic roof design. And that's all skip sheeted too. And over here, so there's that triangle piece right there. That can come out. That piece right there can come out with screws. So you got a draft. It is screened. Just some basic bug screen that I got. Screwed it on there. My walls are sitting on 2x12s. I guess I had to move it. So let's say I had to move this thing. I could just hook onto it with a rope and a winch or a truck, and I could, like, everything's on this. This is just laying on the ground. So in your case, I don't think you'd ever really have to worry about it. It's kind of a nice footing to build off of. So my walls are just sitting on that kind of like a base. You can see a picture of it right here. As far as interior construction, bird's mouth, blocking in between the rafters, which I don't think you got to do. Skip sheeted up top, so the rafters and then the 2x4s are going on there that the metal's screwed to. Spacing doesn't even matter. I think what I did is I just divided it by 3. when I put those on there. There's the gable ends. There's screen. Can't see it, but this area right here has a screen on it. And I can take that off, so like I said, walls are just 2x4s. Looks like 2 feet on center. They're 8 foot tall. Double top plates. We do have, this is a nice thing, I do have fans hanging on the corner on a, you know, cheap box fans. I recommend 2 of them, 1 in each corner. I got one there. And I got one over here. I would recommend 8 foot walls because ultimately I haven't gotten to it, but it's nice to put another setup so you can have 2 layers. So right now this one's only set up to hang here. Basically there's a 2x4. There's a bunch of shit in here you can't really see. Yeah, your smokehouse becomes a storage area. Basically down the center I got to this stud. I got a 2x4 laying there and it goes all the way down. It's got a middle brace that goes to the floor. And then it goes down to the other end and it's screwed there. That's where I'm hanging my fish. So this half is just a passageway right now. So I can walk in and out. So my smokehouse really is only set up for half of this. So basically 4 foot. And like I said, ultimately, and then I hung a cleat there. So we got 2 cleats. You got a cleat here and a cleat there. And your hanging poles that your fish go on, they just go in between the cleats like that to hang on there. So when you're done, this goes outside. You got a whole bunch of fish hanging on it. You bring it in here and you set it in here. And these are roughly 6 foot from the top of this, from the top where it sits to the floor. It's about 6 foot, about the same as my height. And that thing runs down all the way down. You're gonna need to get poles. It's best that these are dry. They're just any poles. But if you had to, you could get by with 2x2s for the first year. Eventually you'd want to get some dry poles and strip the bark out of them. And you want to get a shitload of them. You know, they're not too big. Like that's one end there, my fingers. And the other end, a little bit smaller, just a common pole. They should be dry at some point because it keeps the fish from slipping off. So I got a whole bunch of those poles in here. Let's see. So yeah, ultimately, I want to make a double layer here. So this whole system that I got here, I'd put another cleat here. So you had 2 layers. So you could move the fish because it's hotter up top. So ultimately I want to put another system up here by the ceiling that I can put this pole up here for double layers. And then as your first group comes in and you need to move them because they're dried, you can move them up double layered. Like I said, haven't used this for 2 years, haven't gotten around to doing that, but ultimately that's what I want to do. So size wise, this thing is roughly 8 foot wide. And it is 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, it's 12 feet long, 8 feet wide. The walls, like I say, you know, they're just a framed wall, and then every 2 feet I got a horizontal going to screw the wood to. Pretty simple construction. And I blocked those, honestly. I don't know. I would probably block them. I don't think it's gonna hurt anything to have those open. Once you get smoke going in there, flies aren't gonna get in here. You do need that venting. So figure out a way to put your gable ends. in where you're at, because it's so damn dry. I don't even know. I think you could just put a screen there and keep that wide open. I don't think you'd need the ability to close that because it's so dry there. So yeah, that's pretty much it. All these corners, like I said, are just the metal comes out here and it's just wrapped around like that and screwed. So you can see a seam up and down that, and it's crude. It doesn't matter. You know, there's a little chunk there. You can see we just made this with scrap metal. Like I said, you can go to Northland Wood, and they got a whole pile of top sheets of metal that are cheap, and holes and bents and dings, and yeah, you could tell them just set me up with a whole bunch of it. So you need enough metal basically to do your roof and your walls, and once again 8 by 12. I would do this system probably. In your case, I don't think this little deal has to be 2 by 12s. I think you could do 2 by 6s laying flat. Roof, I can't really go measure that, but I'm just looking, you know. I'm gonna say those roof pieces are maybe 6 foot, something like that. That overhang could even be less. Nothing fancy. Those are just 2 by 6 rafters. Like I said, that I just bird's mouthed out. I got a 2 by 6 ridge beam that they go to. Yeah, and it comes out here. So I don't know. Pretty simple construction. Ain't rocket science, but it certainly is good to have an idea of where to start with it. So we like ours. Only change that I would make is I would get off my lazy ass and make my double-decker thing that I've been talking about for 2 months or 2 years. Anyway, yep, pretty simple construction. And yeah, those poles just hang. Let's see if I can maybe do that. I think I described it, but yeah, so those poles, you can see them. They just sit on here. You get your fish on here outside, you load it up after they've soaked, and you bring a whole pole in here and you just boom, put it on top like that, and the fish hang off of the rack like that. My stove, where's my stove go? Well, that barrel out there that I said is just sitting in this corner right here, in this corner right here on the ground. And I got that fan above it blowing smoke around. It's really nice to have both of these fans just circulating in here. Yeah, cheap box fans, $20 at Kmart or something. Other than that, I think that's about it. So the metal for the walls is 8 foot metal, 8 foot long you'd need. And I'm gonna go up and measure that roof because you need to know that. I think you can get those roof sheets out of 2 sheets out of 12 footers, but I'm gonna go ahead and measure that. Let you know how long the roofing is from the ridge to the eave. And I'll be back.